Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Now, today's battle is going to be superficially similar to the Meme Machine video that I put up last week, because both are ranked arms race, and both of them feature a Des Moines. Both of them are on the Sleeping Giant map, and as a result of which, both of them feature Des Moines operating from more or less the same starting position. Which is entirely understandable, simply because on this map, and in this game mode, it's a good place to be in a Des Moines. So if you're experiencing a mild sense of deja vu, and you think, hang on, haven't we seen this battle before? It's understandable, but, well, you haven't. One obvious difference right from the start is that Adax here, unlike a really good man in last week's video, has the radio position finding skill, so he can always tell which way the nearest enemy ship is even without using his radar. One thing that they do have in common is neither of them are using the defensive fire consumable. They both run hydro instead because, well, hydro is useful all the time. Defensive fire is only useful when there's a carrier in play. And there isn't a carrier in play, and even if there was, it's still about as much use as an ashtray on a motorbike. Does anybody still use the defensive AA consumable on their AA cruisers? Anyone? How about Atlantas and Flints? Because they're big gimmick is they get unlimited charges on defensive AA. Or do they all run hydro as well because, well, it's actually useful? I would love to see the statistics on that. I doubt I ever will, of course, because that would actually be proof, but I'd love to see them all the same. Anyway, RPF is... well, he knows that there's no enemy destroyers around the right-hand side of the islands over there because he hasn't been spotted, unlike a really good man last week who was already spotted by the enemy Shimakaze under these circumstances, but also RPF is pointing in another direction. So, no enemy destroyers trying to sneak around the flank. First two enemy ships spotted, Venezia and Smolensk. The team's two Shimakazes are already getting ready to steal some buffs, with the lead Shimakaze to the north being a bit brave because there is a Des Moines on the enemy team as well. There's a healing buff. Good start. More enemy ships popping up. There's the Des Moines. And unsurprisingly, the lead Shimakaze is requesting that everybody focus their fire on him. Completely understandable, and since that is the only radar on the enemy team, taking him out early would be incredibly useful. Plenty of torpedoes heading in his direction. Looks like both Shimakazes know what's good for them. Nice opening salvo. Already scored a citadel. Unfortunately, those torpedoes appear to have dropped short. It's very likely that both friendly Shimakazes are using the 12-kilometer range torpedoes. The Des Moines takes a beating, but it gets away intact. There was an enemy Shimakaze spotted in the middle of the map there, but Adax hasn't used his radar, and I think that's probably the best choice for now because the Shimakaze was heading away, so if he is still in radar range, he's probably not going to be for much longer. And also, looking at the position that he was taking, there aren't that many ships that are actually in a position to fire at him, even if he was to be spotted with radar. Meanwhile, the Zhao to the southeast has repeated his request for assistance from Adax. It looks like the Zhao wants to push his way around the flank, and Adax initially replied in the affirmative, but then he got spotted. And there's a Conqueror up there. And that looks like a lot of very large caliber armor piercing coming. Yes, it was. That was a lot of damage. He's going to need to get the Flex Seal tape out to fix that up. Conquerors firing armor piercing? What the hell is going on? Oh, and the team have just lost a Shimakaze. We didn't see exactly what happened, but the enemy Shimakaze popped up for a fraction of a second, and then the friendly Shimakaze died. So what I suspect occurred was that the enemy Des Moines, doing more or less exactly what Adax is doing down here, took those hits, ducked in behind the island, popped his radar, the friendly Shimmer got shot to shit, and the enemy Shimakaze saw the opportunity to take the kill, risked it, and probably thinks he's gotten away with it, except Adax has popped his radar and he's inching forward. They have reacquired the enemy hang on, whose torpedoes were those? Okay, couple of things. Nobody seems to be shooting at that enemy Shimakaze, and the team have just lost to Montana. And there are now torpedoes coming from this side of the map, and I don't think the enemy Shimakaze was in a position to get around the island and launch the torpedoes in time for us to have seen them, so that must mean that the enemy gearing is around here. And if he is, he's playing it smart, because he's not the closest target, and he's staying outside of radar range. He knows there's a Des Moines here. Oh shit, that really hurt. He's attracting fire from the Smolensk as well as the Yamato. Now, he's not detected for the moment, but there's an excellent chance that if he pokes around the side of this island, there's a gearing over there somewhere, and possibly by now also the Shimakaze. So let's see what happens. Let's see if he gets detected when he creeps around here. Yep, there's a destroyer there. He's spotted. And RPF is now pointing more or less straight ahead. So he's only spotted for a fraction of a second. Yep, it's the gearing. There he is. Picked him up with hydro. There's nothing he can actually do directly to the gearing right now, but of course the Zhao can definitely take advantage of that. And thanks to hydro running, he's spotted the gearing's torpedoes well in advance. If they hit anything, whoever gets hit by them ought to be ashamed of themselves. Gearing smokescreen. Very, very nice. Thank you very much. He can use that smokescreen to rain death and destruction down on the Conqueror. I do so love it when the enemy team... I mean, seriously, smokescreen, gearing. Do you not understand how hydro works? Well, the hydro isn't going to last forever, so the gearing is able to go undetected. But, ooh, what's this? Alex, has your radar just come off cooldown? Oh, yes it has. That's a shame, isn't it, Mr. Gearing? Come on, Adax. He needs to move forward here, not just so he can shoot at the gearing, but also so he can get that island between himself and the Conqueror, who is steaming ahead at full speed. Come on, fellas, take the gearing down. There goes his engine, probably running last stand. Yeah, he's still moving. Come on, guys. Radar is not going to last for much longer. 10 more seconds. There goes his steering again. Steering and engines this time. And one of his guns. Radar is about to expire. Gearing's gotten away with it. The gearing had clearly used his damage control towards the end there. If anybody had been able to set a fire on him, they might have been able to finish him off. But nope, it was not to be. Meanwhile, this Conqueror, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Despite being sandwiched between a Zhao and a Republique, and now Anax can turn his attention to him, a Des Moines as well, he's not only still got most of his health, but, well, he is a Conqueror. He can just, print himself a new ship at will. But he also appears to have administered an epic butt-kicking to the Republique over there. I've got to be honest, I'm feeling quite conflicted about this. I mean, on the one hand, a British ship administering a savage kicking to a French ship is something that should always be applauded. And yet, oh crap, the team have just lost another ship. This is an enemy Conqueror administering a savage kicking to a French ship. Looks like the Zhao's just pulled a U-turn and is trying to get the torpedoes away from the other side. I suspect the Conqueror's going to avoid them. Ooh, speaking of torpedoes, is that the gearing back for more? Is that going to be extremely bad news for the Republique? I somehow think it is. Let's take control of the camera. Oh, that ain't good. That ain't good at all. The team have lost 3 ships. They haven't managed to inflict a single kill, I think. Did the Conqueror manage to dodge all of those torpedoes? I think he did. Good news, bad news situation here. The Republique has backed off. He's keeping the island between himself and the Conqueror, so the Conqueror can't kill the Republique. Not immediately, but of course that means that the only thing he can shoot at is Adax. And also, Adax had to wait before we could get any supporting fire from the Republique, but they have finally managed to kill the Conqueror. So, hooray, it's only cost them 3 ships and most of a tier 10 battleship. But it's at this point where the team's luck suddenly changes. The Venezia, actually those may have been the Venezia's torpedoes from earlier, but he's just committed a critical error. He's run himself aground broadside on, tries to hide inside his smokescreen. He was 8 kilometres away. I'm not sure what the Venezia's smoke firing penalty range is, but it doesn't matter because Anax's radar is back up. The Republique has shots, but he isn't exactly helping. I mean, he is now. I suspect he was probably waiting to try to get a heel off, which kind of makes sense. but it didn't help him. The Republic is down, sunk by the Venezia. However, the team have managed to pull another 2 kills back. The Stalingrad back there managed to nail the enemy Smolensk, and Adax got the kill on the Venezia, and now he's got perfect broadside shots on the enemy Des Moines once again. Armour piercing loaded. Des Moines focusing fully on the Stalingrad. I saw some enemy torpedoes over there. Not quite sure who those were from. Oh, look at all the citadels. There's the high caliber award. 110,000 damage. The Des Moines is now reacting to the fact that he's getting pummeled from the flank. But while he's got a Stalingrad in front of him, he has to try to angle against the Stalingrad. Which means he can't angle against the Des Moines at the same time. No matter which way he turns, he's going to be giving broadside to somebody. Oh, there it is again. He's spitting out an awful lot of high explosive, however. And it's 8-inch high explosive, so it's hurting the Stalingrad. More citadels. Oh, baby, be still my beating heart. And, yeah, there we go. That's probably one of the fastest Des Moines kills I've ever seen that didn't involve torpedoes. Or, you know, multiple citadels from a Yamato, which coincidentally appears to be exactly what happened to the friendly Stalingrad. What's going on with those torpedoes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 sets of 5. That's the gearing again, isn't it? Those torpedoes were very ambitious, weren't they? But if that was the gearing, who's got Adax spotted? Somebody's sneaking around the flank, and they're a fair old distance away because RPF is pointing elsewhere. Or is the enemy Shimakaze back there? Because there were some torpedoes sailing past the friendly Stalingrad. Oh, this is all very confusing. Hang on, RPF just shifted, it's pointing straight ahead. That's the Shimakaze. Holy shit, this guy has covered some distance in this battle. Well, got him spotted. Radar ain't gonna last forever. Time to make hay while the sun shines. Shots coming in from the Zhao. Pretty sure we're not going to see the Shimakaze returning fire. He's just going to try to motor on out of there and get outside of radar range as quickly as possible. While they're punishing the Shimakaze, pay attention to the battle messages, because the Zhao's about to get a kill. Any second now. We don't actually see it happen, but there it is. He's just sunk the enemy gearing with torpedoes from the other side of an island. How the hell did that happen? Well, we didn't see it happen directly, but we can reconstruct events based on what we saw happening on the minimap, and it's actually kind of amusing. So we're going to rewind the clock slightly to the point where the Zhao actually launched those torpedoes. Here is where the Zhao sees the gearing. And here is where the Zhao launches his torpedoes. Right through that tiny, tiny gap. The gearing's gone undetected at this point. So that was a Hail Mary of a shot from the Zhao if ever I saw one. It's probably likely that only 1, maybe 2 of his torpedoes even made it through that gap. Now, this is where Adax pops his radar so that he can focus on the Shimakaze. Luckily, it also, obviously, picks up the Yamato and the gearing. So the gearing has obviously moved on from where he was when the Zhao was lining up that torpedo shot through the slot. Not only has he moved on, but he's also changed speed because he will have slowed down as he was pulling a more than 180-degree U-turn in order to chase after Adax and possibly trying to get some shots away at him with his guns. So the gearing has not only changed position, he's also changed course and he's changed speed. None of it made any difference because he still ran into one of the Zhao's torpedoes. That has got to be one of the luckiest torpedo hits I have ever seen, even if I didn't actually see it. So, Zhao and Des Moines against Yamato and Shimakaze. Unfortunately for the Zhao and the Des Moines is fresh out of radar. He's used all of his radar consumable. The Shimakaze doesn't necessarily know that, however, but he does know that the Des Moines has just used it. One of their dead teammates is advising the Zhao to rush the Yamato. And the Zhao has said, yep, I'm going to go for it. Which is very brave because it is a Yamato. The Shimakaze, seeing that Adax's guns are pointing in the direction of the Yamato, takes the opportunity to start an extremely unwelcome fire, and then pops his smoke, because he knows that Adax has just used his radar. Meanwhile, the Zhao is going balls deep. Fortunately, however, the Yamato was accommodating enough to actually move into the narrow channel between those two islands, which means there is no way he can possibly avoid the Zhao's torpedoes. But it wasn't enough to sink him. The Zhao, because he's not bloody stupid, keeps going, which means he's able to keep out of the firing arc of the Yamato's gun turrets. And the Yamato can't continue to turn the ship and the guns, otherwise he's going to run into that island, which gives Adax the opportunity to score a reasonable amount of damage. Unfortunately, he could have scored a little more if the first salvo he'd fired had been armor-piercing instead of high explosive. The Yamato has the sense to keep going. For the moment at least, he's got an island between himself and both the Zhao on one side and Adax on the other. Adax also kind of has to keep going, because if he loiters in this channel, he's probably going to eat some torpedoes fired from the Shimakaze behind him. And they really do need to finish this Yamato off. The Yamato, however, even though he has 18-inch guns which can punch right through the bows of a Des Moines as if they weren't even there, yeah, most of those guns are pointing the wrong way. And most of Adax's guns are not pointing the wrong way. Adax slams on the brakes just in time to avoid ramming the Yamato, but he's so close to the Yamato that the Yamato's rear turret, which is the only one that can actually fire, doesn't have the gun depression to be able to actually hit him in the bows, and instead can only really penetrate his, or over-penetrate his superstructure. Realising his mistake, the Yamato tries to move forward, but he's not really watching where he's going, and runs into the island, grounding himself and halting any attempt to escape. He can still only hit Adax in the superstructure, which isn't going to be enough to kill him. He tries reversing again. I think at this point he's thinking that the only way he's going to get any mileage out of this situation is to try to ram this pesky Des Moines. But Adax saw that one coming a mile away, continues to back away, continues to pump the armour piercing into the Yamato's stern. He's now been joined by the Zhao. The two of them are piling shots into this Japanese battleship, who has managed to find a way to fuck up everything he's tried to do in the last 2 minutes, and is still taking an inordinately long time to die. But Adax finally finishes him off. And now that he's not in any danger from dying as a result of ramming the Yamato, he gets himself tucked in behind that island, just in case there are any Shimakaze torpedoes coming down this channel. But once again, RPF to the rescue. The Shimakaze isn't in a position to fire torpedoes. Well, he is, but he's not going to hit anything because he's over there. He's in the cap. Well, hang on a minute. The Shimakaze has a 300-point lead, and there's only 3 minutes of this game left. Surely he'd be better off just running away. I mean, he's got the speed, he can do it. Under normal circumstances, yes, but these aren't normal circumstances. This is arms race. When the central cap becomes available, whichever team holds it earns 10 points every 3 seconds, which means that a team can earn 400 points in 2 minutes. And if the Shimakaze runs, these two guys are going to take the cap. So the Shimakaze has to either sink both of them in just under 3 minutes, or delay them capping for long enough for that 300-point lead to make the difference. To be fair to the Shimakaze, this is an extremely unenviable position in which to be. The only thing going in the Shimakaze's favour right now is that Adax doesn't have any radar left, although the Shimakaze doesn't know that and he's using his smoke anyway. But it's not going to help him, because in another blinding display of teamwork, the Zhao is rushing him with his hydro up and keeping him spotted. And so thanks entirely to some completely unrehearsed teamwork from a pair of complete strangers, Adax in the Des Moines and Lost Raider 1907 in the Zhao turn a 300-point defeat into a 7-kill victory in Tier 10 ranked arms race. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.